Alright guys, we're back with Ret Paladin. Now, I'm going to go over talents, glyphs, gems, reforges in this episode. We'll go in rotation in part 2. Part 2 will be later today. Alright, so for gems, it's exactly the same as every other class. For your yellow gems, such as these ghetto pants I have, you're going to want to put a 20 strength, 20 mastery in the yellow socket. And as long as the socket bonus is 20 strength or greater. So let's see, I thought the chest had one, apparently didn't. We'll move on to shoulders here. For shoulders, it's a blue one, so you want to put a 20 strength, 20 hit, as long as the socket bonus is 20 strength or greater. If it's 10 strength, 10 mastery, 10 hit, something stupid, even 20 hit, 20 mastery, put 40 strength in there instead, and then just have 240 strengths. That's the basics for gemming. I mean, you want strength, strength, and then more strength. Like this ring here, it was a yellow socket with a 10 strength socket bonus, so you just put a 40 strength in that, and you're good to go. Landslide on your weapon, it's a duh. Garthalak is amazing for us, so go ahead and try to get that. For reforging, of course, do Reforge Light again. Go Paladin, Ret, Calculate, Show. I did just get some new gear, so I can reforge, but I don't really want to. You know what? Let's do it. So you just click reforge on this add-on, it does it all for you here. Now, for hit, it is 8%. That is hit cap. It should start lowering it here, I hope. Yeah. Wow, that is a lot. There we go. Okay. So yeah, 8% hit is hit capped. 26% or 26 expertise is expertise capped. And mastery you want to stack like nuts. So stat priorities is hit to cap, expertise to cap, mastery, 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 mastery. Then crit, and that's just, you know, as a why not, and then haste. Haste is your worst stat, mastery is your best. The reason haste is so bad for Ret Paladins is you cannot get enough haste in order for it to be beneficial. The haste breakpoints are so high, it's just not worth it. Now, we'll move into the talent tree now that we got all of our gems and reforges and whatnot. We'll head on over to the tree. So we'll start from Ret and we'll move on down. Eye for an eye. All magic attacks against you have a 40% chance to cause 30% of the damage taken back to the attacker as well. What's awesome about this, especially in Dragon Soul, is 95% of the damage that you take in Dragon Soul is magic damage. Ultraxion's a good example of that. That's all magic damage that you're getting hit by repeatedly, unless you're a tank, obviously. But if you're a tank, you're not taking this talent. So that's pretty nifty. It's free damage that you don't even have to worry about. Crusade increases the damage of your Crusader Strike. Awesome. Hammer of Righteous and Templar's Verdict. So Crusader Strike and Templar's Verdict are your main damaging abilities. They're going to be your top most of the time here. So them doing 30% more is a little ridiculous. And the others we don't care about. Improved Judgment increases the range of your Judgment by 20 yards. That's nice. You spam Judgment like crazy, and the farther away you can hit them, the faster you can get to the boss. Pursuit of Justice, you have a 100% chance to gain a charge of Holy Power when struck by a stun, fear, or mobilizing effect. That's alright. I mean, in a raid you really don't get stunned much, but what's nice is it increases your movement speed by 15%. So, mine's pretty quick here because I'm on a Drake. So there you go, 115%. That's nice that you're always moving faster. Increases the critical strike chance of your Crusader Strike, Hammer of the Righteous, and Word of Glory by 15%. Crusader Strike crit, awesome. Excuse me. Oh, God. Alright, let's see here. Your auras increase your party and raid's damage dealt by 3%, and your own damage is increased by 2% at all times. In addition, your judgment causes replenishment. Replenishment doesn't matter for you. It's awesome for the raid because it's a great way for healers to get mana back, especially as a druid, but druids can they cause replenishment, so that doesn't matter anyway. But increase raid damage and your own damage by 3 and 2%. That's awesome. Your auto attacks have a 20% chance to make your next exorcism instant and free and cause 100% additional damage. Exorcism hits extremely hard, and you're going to glyph it so that 20% of that damage is dealt over 6 seconds. So that's another dot that we have, and our Seal of Truth already deals a great amount of damage, so that's nice. Long Arm of the Law, your judgment has a 100% chance to increase your movement speed by 45%. This is really good for fights like, let's say, Hagara, where you're on the ice tomb, or you just linked your final lightning totem and you need to get to the boss quickly to start dishing damage into her. It's really good to get from one place to another. Same with your Sage. We got Divine Storm. This is your AoE ability, obviously. You will only use this if there's 4 or more targets. So, if you use it without 4 targets, it won't give you a holy power, and if you don't get a holy power from it, it kind of sucks. Sacred Shield. This is your oh crap spell. When you're reduced below 30% health, you gain a shield that absorbs 37k damage, and all healing received is increased by 20% for 15 seconds. That's really good in a raid. In PvP, really good. In a raid, extremely good also. It basically makes it so you won't die for a few more seconds unless you're tanking a boss, obviously. It's going to eat through that shield. Haste effects lower the cooldown of your Crusader Strike and Divine Storm. Now this is why haste is good for Ret Pally, but it's bad in the same sense. It's good that your main damaging ability's cooldown is reduced, but the problem is it's so high, the haste breakpoint, that only Madness is really going to affect that, the Madness fight with the haste buff. So don't worry about stacking haste, or you're not going to get anywhere with it. Your Seal of Righteous, Seal of Truth, and Seal of Justice now also deal 7% weapon damage when triggered. In addition, your Seal of Righteous now hits all enemy targets within melee range. So, Seal of Righteous becomes an enormous AoE damage, and when it says 7% weapon damage when triggered, you can unleash it with Judgment, which unleashes your seal that you have on currently and deals additional damage, which is cool. Sanctified Wrath increases the critical strike chance of Hammer of Wrath by 6%, and reduces the cooldown of Avenging Wrath by 60 seconds, and allows you to use Hammer of Wrath at all times during Avenging Wrath. Hammer of Wrath is our Shadow Word Death of a Shadow Priest, just doesn't hit as hard. It does hit hard, but not as hard as Shadow Word Death. And there's nothing resetting the cooldown. So, it can only be used at 20% or lower, unless you pop Avenging Wrath, which I'll show you here real quick. If you pop Avenging Wrath, there you go, you can use Hammer of Wrath. Which, it only did 15k, but one of our abilities called Inquisition increases the damage that our holy power does by, our holy damage does by 30%, so it should hit harder here. And there you go, it went up to 20k, so, you know, a little bit higher. Let's move on. That's a pretty good ability. Now, Divine Purpose. This is why Ret Paladins can burst and burst and burst and burst. This, once you pop all your cooldowns and you're already bursting, this will proc like crazy. Which, the following attacks have a 15% chance to cause your next Holy Power ability to consume no Holy Power, but cast as if it used 3 Holy Power. So, Judgment, you're keeping that on cooldown. Exorcism, you're always using that when you get a proc. Templar's Verdict, every time you have 3 Holy Power, you're using that. Or if you have a Divine Purpose proc, you're using that. Divine Storm, using that for 4 or more targets. Inquisition, you're using that because you never want that to fall off, or you're not doing any more damage. Holy Wrath you're using as a filler. So let's say I have Inquisition, I have it ticking. Judgment's on cooldown, Crusader Strike's on cooldown, I don't have an Exorcism proc. I will use Holy Wrath. It's a filler. And there you go, it procced it. Hammer of Wrath, obviously 20% or lower, or, well, wings are popped. You can get Repentance, and instead of Divinity, you put it in Repentance. But increase the amount that you heal and receive from healing is a lot better for raids. This is more of a PvP talent, in my opinion, and lower level dungeons and whatnot. Increases the periodic damage done by your Seal of Truth by 30% and the duration of your Inquisition by 200%. This is the most important talent because your Seal of Truth hits like a truck. In the end, it will be a huge chunk of your damage, and Inquisition lasting longer means you don't have to waste Holy Power on it. So, that's nice. Zealotry. Now, I know this is probably like the most overpowered talent. What it does is your Crusader Strike generates 3 holy charges. for the next 20 seconds, and it requires 3 to use, but it won't consume them. So what I like to do is I'll Crusader Strike, Judgment, Crusader Strike, Zealotry, Inquisition, Crusader Strike with all my cooldowns popped, and then Templar's Verdict, and then Crusader Strike, Templar's Verdict, and that's how you get the burst out of Ret Paladins, is you're hitting really, really hard, especially now with your 4-set, which increases the damage you deal while Zealotry is active by 18%. It's really high. Seals of the Pure increases the damage done by your Seal of Righteous, Seal of Truth, and Seal of Justice by 12%. More damage out of your seals, more damage out of you. Increases all healing done by you and all healing effects on you by 2%. That's awesome. Makes it a little bit easier to keep you alive, and healers don't have to stress as much. Increasing the critical effect chance of your Judgment and Templar's Verdict by 12%. That's amazing. Your Judgment increases your casting, melee, and melee haste by 9%. So this means you're going to attack really quickly, which is really nice because they can proc tentacles, and just attacking quickly is, of course, better. The faster you attack, the more damage you're going to deal. But as a Ret Paladin, melee swings are the only thing that proc tentacles now, so this sword is useless unless they proc. Blazing Light increases the damage done by damage of your Holy Shock, which we don't care about, but Exorcism by 20%. So your Exorcism is going to hit very hard. You never want to cast it, because it really doesn't do any damage if you cast it at 10k, so the dot's going to be like, yeah, there you go, 600. Nothing special. You want the instant proc one, and that one is where you're going to hit hard. Now, for glyphs, it's pretty simple which glyphs you want. I choose Glyph of Holy Wrath, mainly because of Spine. It's nice to stun the ads, it helps. Now, its 26 expertise tends to take a lot of gear and a lot of your stats to hit, but with Ret Paladins, your Seal of Truth glyph gives you 10% expertise, while Seal of Truth or Seal of Righteous is active. So in other words, that's an enormous amount of expertise that you don't need to reforge into, making it very simple for you to get expertise capped. Templar's Verdict is your hardest hitting move out of all of your moves. Increasing its damage by 15% is a lot and pretty ridiculous. Have to get that glyph. As I already said, Glyph of Exorcism, additional 20% of the damage over 6 seconds. Very good extra dot. The reason I get this glyph is mainly because sometimes you can start getting low on mana, and your Crusader Strike does cost quite a bit, and there's really no other ones here for Ret Pallies that are useful. None of these glyphs for PvE. So it's really the only other one that's useful. And Divine Protection removes the physical damage reduction of Divine Protection, but increases the magical damage reduction by 20%. So normally it's 20% physical damage, 20% magical damage, which means, you know, right here I'll pop it. It would normally be 20% magical damage and 20% physical. But right now, it doesn't say it up here. I don't know why. It will say it down here in the tooltip. Reduces magic damage taken by 40%. As I said earlier, on fights such as Blackhorn, where you need to soak Hour of Twilights or not Hour of Twilights, Twilight Barrages and Onslaught and all that stuff, on Heroic, you can solo soak it if you have this glyph, and it's probably one of the most useful glyphs in my opinion. I would buy Glyph of Truth, but it's not on this server, nobody has it. And Glyph of Blessing of Might, and Seal of Righteous. None of the minor glyphs are really needed. It's just nice if you die and you need to put on your seal, because when you die, you have no mana. So you would Divine Plea, but that's where this glyph comes in. It makes it a lot easier for you to get your mana back, because every time you Judgment, you get enormous amounts of mana back. So that's glyphs, that's talents, this is gems and reforges. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe. We're going to move on to part 2 now, and I'll show you the rotation with 2-set and 4-set. 4-set, nothing changes, it's just more DPS. 2-set, it is an enormous change. So, I'll see you guys then.